welcome back to my channel. This is Anastasia here with this week's Teen Mom Recap. This episode starts off with Kail. She's driving her kids to their various dads' houses all across town. All three of them. Guess she never considered the future gas costs when she was getting it raw. Isaac complains that he doesn't want to go to his dad's house. We do the same thing every day, and he never does anything special. You know Kail is like beaming right now. Nothing makes her happier than her ex's misery. Shockingly, she actually has a mature response though. She says, "You're lucky your dad even wants you there because not everybody has that." Isaac continues complaining though. "He's always at work. I don't want to go." That's pretty shocking too, not gonna lie. This episode is just full of surprises. Next up is Leah. I think it's Gracie who's the one yelling, "Who wants some Cheetos?" Leah's heart probably stopped beating in her chest at the mention of Cheetos. Corey calls Leah and decides to use his last vacation day on going to Allie's appointment. Leah is proud that this didn't devolve into another all-out smashdown, and she says parenting is more effective when we do it together. Next is Jade. Sean has been staying with a friend since their argument, so Jade has to drop Chloe off at her friend's house while she goes to beauty school. She also has her friend's kid in the car, whose name is Shakur. Shakur. I'm guessing like Tupac, but wow. Jade's beauty license test is coming up, and she's been studying hard at home, which I'm sure is helped by Sean not being there to curse out 12-year-olds in the background of his video games. Jade also only has 200 hours left before she's certified, as long as she passes her test. Chelsea heads to the boutique to gush over this vegan leather jacket. Basically, her and the actual business owner describe it as cute about 20 times, and then she heads out. She says she enjoys doing things besides just being a mom, and it raises her confidence. Back at home, Aubrey tells Chelsea that she doesn't want to go to Grandma Donna's this weekend. I notice the situation is pretty similar to Kail's and Isaac's. The only difference is I don't think Chelsea is quite as petty towards Grandma Donna as Kail is to Joe, even though Granny did spawn Adam. But even so, Chelsea straight up texts Donna right away, "Hey, Aubrey don't want to go over there." Donna replies, "Oh, okay, cool. Anything going on that I should know about?" Chelsea replies, "No, she just wants to stay home. No drama here." Briana spent the night at Louis's. Now, I have always wondered how she dates these guys and gets herself pregnant, given that she lives with her mom and her sister. I just always wondered how that worked out logistically. Like, they must have to spend all their time at the guy's house, because how are you gonna have sex 10 feet away from your mom and your sister? One thin apartment wall away. How does she have any privacy? Well, today I learned. She doesn't. Not only did her mom text her "where ya at" when she missed her curfew, and she actually told the truth that she was at Louis's house, but they were also already awake the next day and sitting by the front door as Briana did the walk of shame into her house. Makeup from last night all smeared, dress from last night still on, maybe a few Monica Lewinsky type stains on it. Just no privacy whatsoever. I know in some cultures they live with their families until they get married. I'm Spanish too, but I just think this is getting ridiculous. Briana is 26 years old. Her sister's like 30. If you're old enough to be doing the walk of shame into your house and your whole family is just cackling like it's funny, it's time to move out, girl. Brittany puts on some doll heels and she twerks saying, "This is how you got Louis in the club, huh?" And then they have a full-on discussion about Briana's horniness. Briana admits they did not use protection, although she is on birth control for once. She's like, "Oops, now I gotta get tested." She also describes this riveting scene from last night, and if you're eating, you might want to pause on that. So according to Briana, "Yeah, Louis was crying, apologizing to me last night. He was butt-ass naked, sitting crisscross applesauce on the bed, saying, 'I'm sorry, I don't go about things the right way. I always got Stella on my mind. I wanted us to work out, Briana.'" I wonder if she was able to take him seriously like that. Brittany, of course, is roasting Louis as usual. Like him and his beer belly and his bald-ass egghead sitting there naked. Thanks for that image, Brie. You probably see him as a clown now. But no, apparently seeing Louis crying on the bed with his wiener flopping around was very endearing to Briana because she took it dead serious. She's like, "No, guys, no, he seemed really sincere to me." Roxanne says, "Oh, now he's getting mixed signals. You're gonna break his heart." These chicks are really convinced that Louis is madly in love with her. It's mind-boggling. Kail calls her producer to discuss Isaac's reluctance to go to his dad's house. She says, "I'm gonna start writing this down." As if there isn't 4 cameras on her right now, and as if this isn't gonna be broadcast on international television. Her producer's clearly egging her on. She's like, "Oh, you know, Joe's gonna think it's because you have more money, Kail. Oh my gosh. You better talk to him about this." Yas, producer girl. Spice up that storyline. Get that raise. Kail says, all I did this weekend was order Isaac a science book, and we ate pizza. It's not about the money. It's Joe. If he doesn't want to go, he shouldn't have to. but she knows that Joe would freak out and bring it to court if she withheld the child. She also thinks Isaac is just being polite by not telling his dad that he hates being there. Chelsea goes out to dinner with her dad and tells a terrifying story of Grandma Donna. So Donna texted Chelsea that she had some candy or something to give to Aubrey, and she asked if she can drop it off. And guys, you have to hear Chelsea's dramatics as she's telling this story. Guys, she shows up at my house when I'm not even there, and the Ring camera caught her at my house when I wasn't there. She was trying to confront my daughter. Oh my god, I think we figured it out. Showing up at her house when she's not there? Grandma Donna was the one who robbed her house. This honestly seems to be what Chelsea is implying. Like, calm down, girl. She was just trying to bring her some cookies. Sean and Jade have been living separately, but she invites him over to talk. He congratulates her on her beauty school progress, and she's very excited to start her career. He apologizes for making a scene at Chloe's birthday party and says, I didn't want to ruin her birthday, so I secluded myself. Yeah, after you yelled at old people and made a big old scene, but whatever. He's still annoyed that Jade invited his vicious grandparents to the party, but he promises he's not going to mess up. He's going to work his way back into her house. Hopefully by work, he means actual work, like a job, and not just working on wearing Jade down, which seems to be how he keeps doing it every single time up until now. Allie goes to her doctor's appointment today. Corey comes along. It pretty much goes as normal, and Allie is glad to have her dad there for support. They're glad that now they understand way more about her disease than they did at the beginning of it. Louis DMs Briana asking how Stella's doing. Of course, Roxanne notices and says, ooh girl, he's catching those feelings. I want you to think about this for a second, okay? Roxanne is talking about Louis like Briana's schoolgirl crush. Oh yeah, he's got a crush on you, girl, he like you. Meanwhile, they have a child together already. The feelings, if you even want to call it that, were already caught. The STDs were already caught. What is going on? Briana meets up with Shirley to discuss Briana's irresponsible life, as she calls it, but at least Briana wasn't irresponsible enough to get a big-ass dermal piercing on her chest. Shirley, looking like a Steven Universe character. Shirley thinks Louis is using Stella to get to her. Briana hopes that he'll take it seriously, and everything will fall into place. She wants to have dinner with him to discuss how he needs to be there for Stella and not for easy sex. Kail called Joe off camera to basically say, hey, your son doesn't want to see you. Joe says no, Isaac isn't old enough to make that decision. Kail disagrees, but she doesn't want Joe to feel attacked. Or to bring this all back to court once again. She thinks this is the start of a lot of differences to come. So I think it's interesting how basically the exact same thing happened with Aubrey in this episode, and Aubrey's only a couple months older than Isaac, but even Donna kind of accepted it and let Aubrey decide, I know everybody hates Kail, so you're probably not going to take her side on this, but just think about that. Why was it okay for Aubrey to decide and no one had a problem with it, but when Isaac wants to decide, Joe can't accept it whatsoever and just says no. He has to come. I think he should be able to decide without Kail being blamed. I mean, we saw the footage. Kail didn't manipulate Isaac or anything. He literally just said, I don't want to go to my dad's. No prompting on that. That's just my opinion. Let the kids decide. Jade leaves to take her exam. Sean is watching Chloe in the meantime. Well, balancing her on his lap while she cries and whines, and he's like, okay, shut up, daddy's doing something more important. And she cries just even more upon realizing that her dad is straight garbage at Fortnite. Thankfully, at least one of her parents is actually making something of themselves. Jade gets the news that she passed her certification test. Congratulations to Jade. Even Jade's mom is positive for once and congratulates her. Allie's appointment is still going on. Allie needs a new wheelchair, which Dr. Sal approves. Shout out to Dr. Sal, by the way. Dude has been on the show longer than half the cast at this point. As usual, he tells Leah in the plainest terms that he could, use power wheelchair. And Leah's like, yeah, we definitely do that all the time, bro. I don't think I've once seen Allie in that wheelchair on this show. Leah high-fives Corey for the successful appointment, and she says, yeah, we set an example for all those other parents out there, right, Corey? And Corey knows Miranda's watching this shit, so he's just like, yeah, okay, please don't touch me, Leah. And then Leah starts blabbing on and on about how we gotta care about each other too, Corey. That's part of co-parenting. And Corey's got his arms crossed, giving her these one-word answers, just dying for Leah to please shut the hell up. Briana meets up with Louis at this place called Lesbian Sushi or something. He actually shows up and she asks if he's hungry. He's like, no, I'll just munch on something. Of course, Briana starts laughing, like, oh, you were munching on something last night. Louis says he feels like there was always tension when they spoke, but now it's way more comfortable. I guess sexual tension? Can you blame her? I mean, how can you resist? Head shining bright like a diamond. We're only here because we had sex, Louis. That makes sense, but this needed to happen. What, sex? No, this conversation. Are you glad we had sex, Louis? Really, Bree? How did you feel? I plead the fifth. Wow, this is really cringy and awkward. Thankfully, they finally stopped talking about sex. I was about to pass out from the sheer cringe. I don't want you to think I called Stella just to get with you, Briana. I actually did it to get another loan from you that I'm just never gonna pay back. Okay, he didn't say that second part, but he might as well have. You hold it down with Stella and Nova. You're a good mom. It's nice to be called that. No one else ever says that to me, Louis. Don't you dare leave Stella like Devon did. And then she starts crying, and Louis is just sitting there awkwardly saying, yeah, I got you, girl. Does this mean no post-sushi hookup? And that's all for this episode of Teen Mom 2. Do you think Aubrey and Isaac are old enough to decide whether they want to go to their other parents' house? And do you think it's different with Aubrey because it's really her grandma's house she's going to, not really to see Adam? What are the inner machinations of Brianna's brain that attracts her to Louis over and over again? Because in the preview we saw she did it again. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Make sure to subscribe for more Teen Mom recaps every week. Also, one more thing, I would love it if you guys would go and follow me on Twitter. It's at AnastasiaYT1. I live tweet episodes sometimes, and I would just love it if you guys would follow me on there and help expand my platform. Make sure to leave a comment down below, tell me what you think about this episode, and subscribe for more Teen Mom recaps every week.